Welcome back into NBC 26's Drive to the Draft special, post-draft special. Matt, Green Bay showed out this weekend. Over 600,000 people were here. What were your thoughts on what the draft did here in Green Bay?
Yeah, Discover Green Bay estimated 250,000 people. And after there were 205,000 on day one, I thought, okay, days 2 and 3 would be slower. 220,000 yesterday.
Insane.
By all accounts, it went off smoothly. Everyone had great things to say about Green Bay. And listen, I've only lived here for 6 years. There are a lot of people around here who have lived here longer, but there is a little bit of pride in that. I thought Green Bay did a great job this weekend.
Yeah, it truly is a special place, especially growing up a Packers fan. Like, this is the mecca of football. But do you think the draft is going to come back here to Green Bay, maybe a decade or so, because of how well they did?
I mean, Roger Goodell has a great reason to bring it back here after how this weekend went. Pittsburgh next year, and then I don't know if there's a rule that you can't host it until X number of years.
Bring it here every year.
Host it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do that, but I think it went really well. And if they are in consideration for future years, this was a great trial run.
Matt, what do you think of drafting 2 wide receivers? You get Matthew Golden in the first round, Savion Williams out of TCU in the third. To me, I keep going back to the Vikings game at the end of the year when the Packers lost. Jordan Love, LaFleur come up to the podium, and they both criticized the receiving room. Does that have anything to do with it, or do you think it was just BPA?
I think part of it, and Gutekunst wouldn't admit this outright after the second round, is that over the next 2 years, all 4 of Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, and Dontavian Wicks are set to hit unrestricted free agency. The likelihood is the Packers lose 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of those guys. Who knows, maybe all 4. So they needed to at least backload the position now with multiple wide receivers. I was a little surprised they took those 2 guys in the first 3 rounds. Not surprised at the Matthew Golden pick. A little surprised at the Savion Williams pick as early as round 3. But man, 6'4", 222, had 84 snaps in the backfield at TCU. He seems like a really intriguing gadget piece that Matt LaFleur is already turning the wheels in his mind about how he can use him.
People are already calling him like the Debo Samuel or the
Yeah, Matt LaFleur
Patterson.
said, whoa,
Yeah,
take it easy.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
what did you think of them? They tend to do this. They bring in Aaron Banks from San Francisco to play left guard, but then they draft Anthony Belton out of NC State, big 6'6", 336 pounds. Yeah. He's got me a little bit on size. But what did you think of them diving back into the offensive line room?
The Packers are always going to make sure their offensive line is well stocked. And if you think about it, yes, Anthony Belton right now on paper is their 7th offensive lineman, but he can play 4 different spots on the offensive line, the Packers think, so he could be the backup at any one of those spots besides center. And then Rasheed Walker probably not going to re-sign with the Packers after this season. The Packers can get cheaper and younger there. Not that Rasheed Walker is a bad player. He's not. But if Jordan Morgan doesn't work out there, or if Morgan starts at right guard, then Anthony Belton all of a sudden could be your starting left tackle in 2026. So a depth piece for now, potential starter for later.
Yeah, Sean Ryan and Rasheed Walker up for contracts after this year. Both those guys could be gone, and we've seen the way offensive line contracts have blown up, including with Banks. Give me a day 3 selection that you liked the most. There was, 5 of them?
Yeah, I mean, Baron Sorrell, that was the best story.
That was
awesome.
Yeah.
I know I saw him on Kay Adams' show on Friday, I think it was. I said, why is this guy still here? He had no idea he was going to be picked by the Packers. When he stayed on day 2, when he stayed on day 3, he knew he wasn't going day 1. That was the best story, how he was at the draft, his emotional press conference afterward at Lambeau Field. But I think the pick that might help them soonest is Warren Brinson, the defensive tackle out of Georgia in the 6th round. Goody just couldn't help himself. He had to take another Georgia guy. But both Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst talked about how this could be kind of a TJ Slayton replacement, the big space eater who can stuff the run, take on double teams. And Goody said that Warren Brinson is a more natural pass rusher coming out of college than TJ Slayton was a couple years ago. So Packers needed some more depth on the defensive line. I'm not saying he's above Brooks or Wooden yet, but he could be a player this year for them.
What were your thoughts on not taking a cornerback until the 7th round? Micah Robinson out of Tulane. Jair's probably not on the team next year.
I don't know what's going to happen there. I just don't. Brian Gutekunst said no new updates. He initially said, Jair's on the team. That's how we're going to proceed. So I followed up and asked him, that's how you're going to proceed? Does that mean he's staying on the team? And he said, no, we're still working through things. So I had heard stuff earlier this offseason that the Packers had made up their mind he wasn't coming back. But what's the benefit of trading him now? There is none, because you wouldn't get that draft compensation until the 2026 draft. Could they release him? Sure, but all that cap space you would open up, they don't need to open up cap space, first of all, but what exactly would you use that on? So if I were a GM, and there's a very good reason I'm not, I would keep Jair Alexander, but I don't think this situation is resolved just yet.
Matt, thank you so much for your time.
As always.
Appreciate it as always. You can find it on theathletic.com.